throughout my life, I haven't always been big. I am big now. I've been small. Well, never really skinny, but small. I'm 6 foot tall, so how small can you actually be? But I've always been tall, small, thick, medium, and large. And I'm gonna tell you, it is so much about attitude. You can take any person, and if they have an ugly attitude, they're gonna be ugly.
True.
You can take a big, huge person with a beautiful attitude, and you will attract so many men. I have never had a problem attracting men ever, and a lot of the small girls, they look at me and I know what they're thinking. Man, how does she get? You already know what they're thinking.
How she got that fine ass?
And I just gotta say this. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. I don't care what size you are. I don't care what you look like. As long as when you look in that mirror, what you see is someone who is beautiful to you and you approve of them. And if it is like that, you will show that when you come to other people. They will see that in you. That is the attraction. And that's pretty much, that's pretty much all. Because, my memory, I had all this stuff I wanted to say, but, the memory is the first to go. So, and I just think it is so wonderful what you're doing here because, so many plus-size women and men, are put down and they feel, bad all the time because they don't feel like, they're worthy. And it's not that at all. You can't go through life letting other people dictate your life and dictate how you should feel about yourself.
Well, this might be a little bit off the hook, but I have started to develop a theory that body fat is kind of an amplifier of emotions, so that, whatever a fat person is feeling, that's, they're going to project it very intensely, so that's why it's important to have a good outlook and good emotions about you, because, if the fat girl is happy, ain't nobody happy. But if she's feeling good, somehow there's just no room anywhere for despair.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's not easy, it's not really not easy. You've gone through your life being teased and being put down, and how can for some people, like I said in the chat room, it's not always being overweight is not always the primary problem. A lot of times there's other things inside. You've been rejected, your self-esteem is to the floor, and it just kind of adds to it, and it's almost like you feel like if you lose the weight, everything will go away, and it's not that. You lose the weight and you still feel bad and you wonder why. It's because, the weight wasn't the total problem.
Yeah.
So.
It does have to do with so many underlying things. 508, we're going to be bringing you in now.
And I have to go. You guys have a great show, and hopefully I will see you on mine later after at 9:30.
Oh, yeah. Have a good one.
Cool.
Stop
you
by.
Guys too.
See you later, Cookie Diva.
Bye-bye.
But 508, I'm sorry, 580. I'm not 508. 580, you are now in.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. 580.
This is 580.
Hi, who are you? What's your name?
This is Red, White, and Beautiful.
Hey, Red,
hello
White,
there.
and Beautiful.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm here.
Wonderful. Now,
Welcome.
tell me, are you an FFA, or are you just a big girl?
I'm a big girl.
Mm.
I'm as big as they come, they say.
Really? How big are you? Let's see if I'm bigger than you. How big are you?
Well, I'm considered SSBBW.
Are you 6'4"?
I am about 350.
I'm 6'4", 600 pounds, girl.
I know,
small.
sweetheart. You've got a lot more on me.
Girl, you small. You miniature compared to me. It's all right. So you want to know what we need to get together so that I can be next to you and then you can feel small. You're going to be like, girl, damn.
Well, we'll get to see each other at the bash because I'm definitely going to be there representing.
Woo-hoo!
Oh, yeah.
And where you from?
I'm from Oklahoma, too.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Are you going to bring cookies, too?
I ain't gonna bring cookies.
Oh, I'm only joking.
Girl, it's gonna be like vacation for me. I'm looking forward to getting out of the house.
Oh, I know what you mean.
It's a little warm down here. I'm looking forward to being in the hotter heat of Vegas.
In the hotter heat, it's going to be burning in Vegas.
Well, believe you me, I lived out there for a long time, and believe you me, it's going to be hotter than the flames of hell. But if anybody know what hell feels like, but
I originally was from
dry
Phoenix,
heat, though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've lived in Phoenix for several years, and I know what hot as hell is.
Now, I have a question for you, though, Miss Beautiful, and that would be is how do you take the approach on FAs? I mean, I'm pretty sure you've had a few in your day, right?
I've got several hundred.
Several hundreds, huh?
Yeah.
I bet your email
you got a whole
is
fan
blowing
club.
up.
Yeah, I got a whole fan club, unfortunately. No, they're all sweet. You know, it's funny because I've built up a fan base of fat admirers that give me my self-esteem. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, 3 or 4 years ago I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, and you know, everybody always says that famous line, "You've got a pretty face," and you kind of get tired of hearing that. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like one day I, you know, put myself out there, and I found that there's a whole other world out there of people, and a lot of them don't really tell you. They're not the type of people that come right out and tell you how beautiful you are for what you have. You know, that it's just one of those things where, you know, once you start to realize when they hide behind the computer and they can tell you, you know, what they really feel, you find that there's a big audience out there that has, you know, a fascination for large women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where once I figured that out, look out. That's brought out a whole new me.
Exactly, and you want to know, I feel that FAs often get a really bad rap because, you know, as I said previously at the other part of the show, that everyone, you know, like society says, oh, it's got to be a fetish. And so, you know, you don't want to feel like you're weird for liking what you like. You know, so that makes it even more difficult on the FAs who are now learning to overcome all of these complex pressures. You got peer pressure, family pressure, society pressure, and you got some young guys who really don't know what to do. They are shy, they are scared for one reason or another. They don't know how to deal with it. And a lot of people say, oh, you just need to grow up. But we have to realize that many of us big women who are standing around proclaiming that we love ourselves really don't love ourselves on the inside.
Ooh.
You know, so you can't really knock the FAs, you know, for, you know, having some, you know, problems being able to proclaim that they love big women. And I think some of it also has to do with the way you're raised, and some may even have to do with nationality. I'm not going to say 100%, but I personally noticed, you know, that according to where you were brought up, like I know the men down south, they don't have a problem saying they like a big, thick woman. But if you're in New York or L.A., some men do have a problem saying they like the bigger woman.
I think age has a lot to do with it, too. Because I find that with the younger guys, they, you know, especially my younger fan base, they're more straightforward because they're coming from a generation that is accepting a little more. I find with the older men, they're in the closet.
Well, I think
even if they're married to it, they're in the closet.
Our generation actually, you know, at least managed to force the fact that we exist.
Exactly.
There was a question about that earlier. The guys were, you know, the enemy was getting away with telling people that we didn't exist at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then too, you do have the ones that, you know, the ones that kind of hide out and, you know, they're out there talking about, well, I wouldn't date a plus size woman if, if.
And yeah, they're the ones that are on the internet all night long looking at it.
They're the ones that set the spaghetti restaurants.
Exactly.
With the dark candles, kicking it, with that plus size woman. So,
listen,
for real.
What are you talking about spaghetti date and candles?
Well,
they
no,
don't even
because
take them out on a date. They make them eat pizza and Chinese food in the house with a movie.
Well, no,
exactly.
Well, no. Well, see,
not even a movie they rented.
But
not even a movie they paid for. A bootleg movie.
Okay, but see, the reason I say a spaghetti restaurant, because listen, in Oakland, where where I'm originally from, there was this restaurant, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it's in going up towards North Oakland, and they use candles around the tables, or they used to. And the thing about it is that if you went in there, it was that dark. So that was the perfect place for, couples who were ashamed to be seen, with each other, to go in there because, you really couldn't see. Yeah, so that's why I'm always saying, spaghetti restaurants, but you actually have those type of people. You have those closet FAs that are out there that will not, expose themselves, or be seen with a plus size person in public, because it wouldn't be good for their quote unquote image.
Now,
they need to just come out and say, hey, look, I love plus size woman, or or that female says, I love that plus size man. Hey, let's just let's work on something here.
Now hold on, I gotta stick up for the FAs a little bit, because there's two types of closet FAs. There's the ones who are closet FAs who have the skinny girl or the smaller wife and the
Thank you, the trophy wife. I was just getting ready to say that.
And then they have the fat girl on the side. Then there's the ones who are not even dating.
We'll call those a plan B.
Plan the ones
B.
who are not even dating because they're just so scared to approach a big woman, and then when they do, many times they approach one, and then they are often rejected with, like, what are you? Are you crazy? So that just makes them hide more. So there's two types. I don't want everyone to think a closet FA is those ones who want to keep you in the house with Chinese food and pizza. There are the ones who are scared to even approach you.
That's true.
So I got.
Those are the ones that I deal with on the internet.
There are some that are just predators too.
Yeah.
There are some that just they like their woman. They're in love with your size. They're looking at you. They want to do anything they can to you. They don't care who you are, if
as
you're
a person
human or not. They just want to take advantage of you in any way they can.
They just want to have some sex. They want to have some fat sex and to be out.
Yeah,
but
and they'll come at you and talk crazy.
Yeah, they come at you real crazy.
I get some male people saying things like, I want to put my, in your throat, and, I want to come all over you, all kind of crazy stuff like that. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah,
why couldn't you just send me a regular mail saying,
but they also make references to you in a derogatory way, like as if your fat is something that's bad. It's not a good reference. It's a reference that's degrading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I got an instant message from somebody the other day.
I don't think those are really FAs.
Yeah,
I don't believe those are FAs either.
I think that those are not really FAs, because fat admirer means someone who admires fat. And when you're an admirer, don't make me go into the dictionary, please.
But they also are fat admirers that are in disguise. They claim to be, and they're not.
But they're not real ones. No
there
one is everything what they say. The title, don't mess with the title. If you ain't a real FA, just say what the hell you are. Just say you're a booty snatcher. Okay, don't say you an FA. You ain't a real FA. You ain't ready to settle down and marry the big woman of your dreams. You just trying to get you some big booty. Stop lying.
But the bad part about that is those type of people mess it up for the FAs, because they taint you in a way. Those are the type of people that come to girls that don't have the self-esteem to be able to say, I know the difference, and they come at them and then they hurt them. They put them in a position where they don't feel good about themselves, or they might marry somebody like that because they think that's all that they can get. There's a lot of them out there that are like that and make the girls the way that they are to feel about themselves.
And I think that's why the title FA has had a bad rap.
And
I really I know a lot of FAs, okay? And to me, a FA is someone who loves, respects big women of many sizes, and some of them have a preference. Some of them like the really big, some of them like the mini big, and the in-between big. Either way, admire means you love and respect and treat with tender love and care. But I know there's a lot of men out there who don't want to claim the title of FA because of the negative men who are out there, negative women out there who are using the big people.
Right.
Okay? A lot of men don't want to take the title of FA, and I'm wondering, how do you feel Elfcat and the ladies here. How do you feel as far as how much do you think nationality has to do with it? Because this is what I have heard, and this is some of what I experienced. I experienced in the black community with the African American males, liking a big woman is very commonplace. Now, I've experienced in the white community, it's only now starting to become tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Spanish community, you could forget it. Okay? In the Spanish community, only here in America, in some areas, will they say they won't say they like a big woman. Okay? What they do is they get a small woman, because in the Spanish community, you are expected before marriage to have a cute little body. If you fat, something's wrong with you, and you better get healthy.
And expect after you have a couple of kids for you to get bigger. So
Then
it's
you
all
can
right
get
then.
big
Exactly.
when you're older. You see, it's acceptable to be a big Spanish old woman, but you can't be a young big woman in the Spanish community.
When you say Hispanic, do you mean like where you are on the East Coast? Because that wasn't what I saw in high school with the Mexicans over here.
I'm talking about in general with many different Spanish cultures. If you are, now I'm not just talking about thick like a size 16 or 18. We're talking about the 24s and the 26s. You know, more like in the 20s and up. Okay, because it's commonplace for a Spanish woman to be a size 10, 12, 14, 16. Once she hits around a size 18, people are going, wait a minute, you better be losing that weight. And once you hit a 20, you are unacceptable. Not unless you popped out a few children and are married. As long as you're single, you're supposed to be losing weight. And if you get divorced, you're supposed to lose the weight right away.
Wow.
So that you could get
I think
another
I have
right
to
back
agree
in
with
dating
you on that.
pool. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Everybody talks at once.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just said wow. I mean, that's that was pretty deep.
I said that once you get divorced, they expect you to hurry up and lose that weight and jump right back in the dating pool, find somebody else, and start all over again.
Yeah, so then you can get fat after you have their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now I will agree with with the thing. Now I live in the South, okay, and I'm in South Carolina, and the women down here, I mean, I've lived in South Carolina, but I've lived in Alabama, and I mean, I've also lived in Texas, when I was in the military, and plus-size women are really accepted in these particular areas. Okay, they really are. I mean, they are a thing of beauty. They're a thing of beauty down in the South. I mean, the skinny women are too, but you see a lot of people, or you see a lot of men out there dating plus-size women, and down in the South, I mean, they take a different type of pride within themselves, and I mean, it's just like going to California and seeing those skinny models out there, but it's just completely the opposite down here. Because I mean, in the South, if you're too skinny, they're looking at you like, oh, you need some weight and you need something. You got to do something about that, because that's like that movie Fat Girls. It's like the movie Fat Girls with Monique. It's just like that down in the South, and at least in the cases that I've seen. I mean, I can't really speak for anywhere. Well, in California I can, because out there, if you're big, people tend to look the other way, but then it's just starting to become acceptable out on the West Coast.
Depends on where in California. I mean,
well, I'm from Oakland, so out there it wasn't really, acceptable up until, recently.
Okay, 630, we're bringing you in.
Hello.
630, you are in.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on? Who is this?
this is Rocco,
What's going on, Rocco? Where you're from?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Chi-town.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. So now tell me, what brought you to Large in Charge Radio?
Well, are you guys talking about, like, bigger women in society?
Yeah, we're talking about plus-size women, but today we're talking about the FAs, the people, the men and women who like the bigger
prefer love partners.
Hello?
Yes?
Oh, okay. You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead now.
Go ahead now.
Well, like, I was just wanting to comment, like, I'm sick of people, like, that make people think they're big when they're really not. Like, my girlfriend, she thinks she's big, and she's the one that's in the picture with me, and she's definitely not. And, like, a lot of people don't know, Marilyn Monroe, who was a beautiful woman, she was a size 14, and, you know, to people now, like, they think that's big, and that's not even big. You know what I mean?
Right. The average size of women is, you know, between 14 and 18.
Right.
You know, so that's not even large. I mean, you know, you're going by the model size equivalent, which is 0 or 1 or 2. You know, and
that's disgusting, in my opinion. I hate skinny ass girls. I think that's nasty. You know what I mean?
But that's opinion too. Doesn't make them ugly.
You know, I mean, I personally, I'm a really big one. I find some very slim women. They can be very beautiful as long as they have a beautiful attitude.
Attitude has everything.
But the thing is, I also the same way. I'm not gonna.
I've met plenty of plus size people that are pretty ugly as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
you know, people can be pretty shady in their own thoughts. You know, just based on impression. So I don't think an overall impression of somebody who's thinner, because I've got a lot of friends that love me just for who I am and they're thin. So how can I not love them in return?
I just want to be respected for choosing to be big.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Everyone decides that because I'm a big person, I'm a really big person, that my whole goal in life should be skinny. And when I tell them I'm a happy big person, they look at me like something's wrong with me. You know, and I'm not a size 14 or 16, 18. I don't even know what size I am, because where every place I shop at, they tell me I'm something different. You know, I tip the scale, literally. Okay, I don't know if they even have a scale that weighs me nowadays. At least not when you buy in a regular store. But, you know, I think that women who are all sizes should be able to accept their mate. It's funny how a skinny woman, you know, a man says, I like you because of your body, and she's like, yeah, because of my body. But if an FA, a fat admirer, that's what we call them, goes to a big woman and says, I love you because you got a beautiful body, she goes, what? What's wrong with you? She cannot even conceive, because society and people and, you know, even our families have brought us down so much that we cannot conceive someone actually loving our bodies and being attracted to that.